I think I made it worse. Anyway, you don't have to look at it very long. One thing I still have not been able to get used to is people telling me that I was a storyteller. I guess I've been most of my ministry and didn't realize it. But I need to tell you a story. First of all, let's give a little background on this scripture. The book of Isaiah. If you will look at the book of Isaiah, it's 66 chapters. How do I remember that? How many books are there in the Bible? 66. Makes it easy. Chapters 1 through 39, we say is pre-exilic. That means it was before the exile, when they were taken into Babylonian captivity. 40 through 55 is while in exile, and 56 through 66 is post-exile. If you go back about 722, 721 BC, you see there were two kingdoms, the northern and southern kingdom. And the northern kingdom was captured and destroyed. After that, Isaiah began to prophesy to the people and warn them, if you don't straighten up, the same thing's going to happen to you that happened to the northern kingdom. And they didn't straighten up. So about 586 BC, they were captured and destroyed, and the cream of the crop was taken to Babylon. And we call this time the Babylon captivity. Now, the message of chapters 1 through 39 were warning. Straighten up. That's like the parent that says, if you don't quit that, you know, we had a carload of kids. And the rest of you that come from big families, I'm sure you never had disagreements. And many times we would go home after being to town, especially Saturday night was the night to go to town in those days. And my father would say, if you don't quit fighting, I'm going to let you walk home. He won't do that. You know he won't do that. Well, one night, he did that. We were half a quarter from home. In fact, we walked down there and get our mail each day. So it wasn't that far. And Daddy says, Larry and Charles, get out. Well, I always thought I was the smarter of the two. So I got out and I jumped up on the back bumper. You young people, I'll explain to you what a bumper was. Well, Charles jumped up beside me. And we were riding the bumper that eighth of a mile. Till Donald looked out the back window and said, oh, look, Larry and Charles are riding on the bumper. And then we bailed off. And we said, well, we better kind of mess around a little bit and take a little time. So when we walked in, Daddy said, where'd you get those scratches? And it's too dark out there. We tripped. He said, a full moon. Anyway, his warning, well, I forgot why I was telling this story. I was anxious to see how it turned out. He was giving us a warning, just like Isaiah was saying, if you don't straighten up. And then when it happened, and they were taken into captivity, the message of Isaiah becomes a different message. It's a message of God hears you. God will deliver you. So, 2nd Isaiah, chapters 39 through 55, are a message of hope. And that's what we have today, this message of hope. We have a lot of people delivering the message of 1st Isaiah. Straighten up. These judgmental messages that we get. When a hurricane goes through and destroys people, some famous TV evangelist will say how it was because of the sins of certain people. But in our day-to-day, we need to hear more of the message of 2nd Isaiah. You see, in this passage, it's talking about the difference between little grasshoppers crawling around and eagles that are soaring. And Isaiah is saying, I've heard you. God is saying, I heard you, and you will be floating with the strength of an eagle. Have you been a grasshopper? Have you felt like you were a grasshopper? That the whole world was against you? You know, it will be 50 years from next Sunday that I walked into seminary and they told me my father was killed in a truck train wreck. I'm just looking this week, 50 years already. I felt like a grasshopper. How terrible it was. But you know, in the years since that, I've been able to soar as I've grown from it and see that God didn't leave this grasshopper down there. He helped pick me up and send me on my way. Some of you lost jobs during these last several years, this last decade. And you may have felt like grasshoppers. Unemployment rate went real high, people looking for jobs. In fact, let me tell you a little story. My youngest daughter, she had a great job. She was a physical therapy assistant. But just before Christmas, she lost that job. Has her worst time been unemployed than before Christmas? I don't think so. And she has looked and looked and looked, and every time the door closes. Now, you know, her biggest problem in life is that she chose a preacher to be her daddy. Oh, I guess she didn't make that choice. And so I have to keep my mind where I can give good, positive advice. And after one of these, I'd say, well, God's got something better for you. Then again, God's got something better for you. Do you ever wonder, if you give that advice, how long you can get by saying this? And we knew this week she had an interview, and it was the last interview she had taken. Her leads were nearing an end, and I'm sitting there saying, what if I do if the little grasshopper calls me up to try to get the job? But, praise the Lord, she called up and said, I got the job. So I didn't have to try to say, there'll be a better one coming along. And we celebrated a little bit and hung up. I've been working on this sermon for 2 weeks. And suddenly I'm just sitting there thinking about it, and into my mind came these words. He who waits upon the Lord will renew his strength. He will mount up like wings on eagles. And I thought, where'd that come from? Oh, that's Sunday's sermon. That's Sunday's sermon. And it made the whole thing bring me near tears. When you're feeling like you're just about as low as you can go. And everybody sits there saying, oh, it'll be okay. And you think, how can it be? You hear about that little boy that was sitting down on the curb and he was just crying and crying and crying. And this nice little old lady came up and sat beside him, put her hand on his shoulder, and she says, now, Sonny, I wouldn't cry that way if I were you. And he says, you cry your way and I'll cry mine. Sometimes we feel like, you cry your way. Let me cry my own way. And you know, there's sometimes where that grasshopper, when we're in tears and we feel like the world's coming to an end for us, and there's not even a nice little old lady to come up and tell us don't cry that way. Isaiah is saying to a group of people that had been in captivity there, God's going to deliver you. And don't you suppose those people started saying, well, when's He going to start? We've been here now a long time. Do you suppose Isaiah was wanting to know what to say the next time they were disappointed and says, God's got something better for you? You see, God's message has always been a positive message. Sometimes we concentrate on the negative part of the message. But that's not the last word.